Welcome back, y'all. We are here for another video. This video is going to teach you guys how to create 1 year's worth of content and how to batch create your content in advance. All right, so we're going to break it down step by step so you guys can get your system built and get your content out so you can attract the clients you need for your digital products so you can build those digital dollars. So right now what we have pulled up is the content creation process. The reason why I have this here in a Google Doc form is just to show you how simple this process can be. This process is just my way of doing things. I actually use a few different ways. I like to stay organized, so I'm just going to teach you guys how to get everything down just from the beginning. So if you are wondering how to create your content, you are in the right place, okay? So first off, how much content is a year's worth of content? So we know that 1 year is 365 days. So I would suggest that this is my recommendation. You guys don't have to do this, but I suggest as a goal to start yourself off, I would suggest at least to post twice a day, okay? So 365 days a year, posting 2 times a day would be 730 posts a day. So that's the goal that I would like for you guys to write down. I mean, if you feel like that's too much, you could at least try once a day for 365 days, okay? So what we're going to do is we're going to start off with the very beginning step. The first step of creating your content is creating the captions, okay? This is the first step that I actually do. And your captions are really the wording of what you're wanting to say. So this is where you get your point across. This is where you are providing the solution to your ideal client's problem. This is your message. This is where you're displaying your expertise. And this is where you're sharing your valuable content to the ideal client so they can pretty much get closer and closer in your funnel to the ultimate signature program, which is your high ticket offer that you'll offer them. Your content is always free and it gets them, in the funnel, and it moves along the way from there. So we have other videos in this course that's going to explain that process of the funnel. But right now you guys are learning how to create the content for 1 year. So the very first thing that I usually do is, I'm going to tell you guys the truth. I'm old school, so I actually still write things down on paper and pen. So if you guys are like that too, I would suggest going ahead and getting, you can either get binders, like 3-ring, 2-ring binders with regular college ruled paper, like plain notebook paper. Open those packs of paper up, put them in your binder, or you can get the spiral regular notebooks, like from wherever, Office Depot, Walmart, Dollar Tree, anywhere you would like. So I would go ahead and get you a content book, a content planner. Be on the lookout for the content planner that I'll be having on sale soon. So you guys be sure to check that out. I'm developing that as we speak, actually. So what we're going to do, you're going to have your notebook or binder of choice to plan out your content. And what we're doing is we're going to create 31 captions, because it's usually 31 days in 1 month. So we're going to start off with the first 1 month of content. Okay. All right. So what we're doing, either you can write these down in your notebook or binder, or you can start off on Google Docs. If you use Microsoft Word and you prefer them over Google Docs, it's the same pretty much thing. I just like Google Docs. I like a lot of Google products, but it's your preference. This is just, you would need a blank document to actually type out your information. And this is how you pretty much keep up with it. I use paper, but I actually also go in and type up whatever I write once I have the final written, the final draft of everything. So I start off on paper with my brainstorming, my rough draft, and then I finalize it by typing it in a Google Doc, and I save this, title it, so I can pull it back up at any time. Google Docs does have storage where it stores all of your work, And you can also go through and download all of this as well. I think, let's see, I didn't have one up on my desk, but I actually was going to show you how I actually laminate, but I do have something to show you guys. Let's see. This is another way of keeping your stuff together. For example, once you type up something in Google Docs, if you decide to save it, download it to your computer and actually print it, you can get these little white plain sleeves with the holes that go in your binder. And these are at Walmart as well, or Office Depot. And basically what you're doing is printing out whatever you have typed up, and you're putting it in your sleeve, and it's going to go in your binder. So I do this, and I also actually have a laminator where I actually print everything out and I laminate it, and it goes in the binder as well. I love to stay organized. Being organized is the best way to stay productive, get done with your work at a faster pace, and also just relieve the stress. Okay, we're relieving pressure and stress. All right, so if you are not familiar with typing documents on Word or Google Docs, I'll just do a brief overview of what you guys need to know, the basics. When you first type in Google Docs on google.com, you go to the website, you click on open up a new document, of course. So what you would do when you start off, it'll be a complete blank sheet, and you really start typing. If you want to change your font up here where the arrow is, like I always say, and as far as fonts, I would stick to 1 or 2 basic fonts that you'll use for your branding. I like to use this Playfair Display. And for titles, I always make it bold. You highlight that and then make it bold, and the U is for underline. Okay, so usually I'll have the title a bigger font and the rest a little smaller. And this is how I get started. So this is an example page that I pulled up just for explaining everything. But what you would do is pretty much number your page 1 through 31 to get started. Like I said, you can go straight on Google Docs or straight on Microsoft Word and just start typing everything, or you can do it like I do sometimes and write it out first and then type it. That is kind of more work, but it depends on what flow is better for you. You have to find what works best for you, but this is just to give you the basics of how to get started and to build a good foundation for yourself with creating your content. So all right, what we're going to do, you would type in your numbers. I like to do it like this, step 1, step 2, when I'm writing out things. Over here is the numbered list. If you wanted to number it, once you type the first one and you click the numbered list here, it's going to know that you want to number everything. So after you hit enter, it's going to keep numbering the rest of your list. So you can use numbers, you can use bullet points, you can use a checklist. This here is how you align the wording if you want everything more far on the left, if you want it middle aligned or right aligned. Okay, so with this, typing out your content, you don't really need all of the rest of this right now, the rest of the options. So what you'll do is actually in the document that I have pulled up actually is some of the instructions for you guys that I typed up. So we're on the Google Doc. First thing we did was type our title. So content batch creation process. Okay. Now, it depends on which order you're doing it. What I do sometimes is decorate my post first from what I have written out, and then I'll go in and type it. It's all depending on what order you would like to do. So what you would be doing is everything that you have written down for your post, you would type it all up, get everything together and type it up. So I actually have another form pulled up for you guys to see an example right here. All right. So this is some pre-typed information for, other things I have going on in my program. But for example, this is another way of doing it. Day one, you write out the topic. Okay. This is your caption. The caption is your information that you're going to be talking about. Okay. All of this you typing out, you just getting it done. You sit out and designate that set time that you're going to do this, and you just start either writing or typing everything you would like to say. Okay. For example, here's day 4, positive self-talk. Everything here is just information for your post. Okay. And you'll see in the other video where we talked about creating your graphic for your actual post, the visual aspect. This here is talking about creating your content. So in order to create the actual wording of your content, you write it out or type it out. Okay. Once you have everything typed out, actually, let me rewind. Okay, so there's 4 types of content that you guys want to be familiar with. There's the educational content, there's entertaining content, there's informative content, and there's inspirational content. Okay, so you can use this knowledge to your benefit by using your content pillars. For example, my content pillars, I have 6. Okay, and you guys will see that in the videos ahead or after this video in the course, and that's where we're talking about the content framework and creating your content pillars. But by now, if you're on this video, you should have already have learned about creating your pillars, your content framework, and so forth. So you're already with that. So when you have your content pillars, for instance, if you have 6 pillars, mine is polish, Polish. Okay. So each of your content pillar topics are the main topics for your brand, the main idea of what you talk about in your business. So if you have this client that has this XYZ problem, your content pillars are the solution for their problem. So in each of those pillars talks about something different. So for example, if I have 6 content pillars and there's 4 types of content, 6 times 4 is 24. So if you do the math, there's so many ways to produce a mass amount of content once you have the framework down pat. And that's why it's important to have your framework and your content pillars, because once you know what you're about, like your message, what you're going to always talk about, you can always mix and match your pillars with the 4 types of content: entertaining, informative, inspiring, and educating content. You want to have a variety of those types of content, and keep that in mind when you're batching your content. So when you're typing this out or writing this out in your notebook, you are already ready to mix and match. Okay, like I said, it might be easier to write it all out. You would just label, like in this other here, how I have everything in bold. The way I have everything here in bold could be your actual content topics. Okay, so you can have pillar 1, pillar 2, pillar 3, pillar 4, and then you would have each content. You know what, I'm actually going to show you. So when you go to Google Docs, you would select the blank form here with the plus sign. You're clicking that to start a new document, to start from scratch. I'm going to show you another way that you guys may like to stay organized in this platform. And this is really just going to be creating a table. Okay. I don't know if when I go in and out of different tab, if it paused me on the video, but if it does, I'm just explaining that in Google Docs, you would create a table to specify the types of content, if you please. So this is how we would do that. You go to insert table, and depending on how many content pillars you have is how many boxes you'll need. Okay, so I'm just going to do an example. If I have 6 pillars, I'm going to bring this arrow down to the 6, and I'm going to go over by 4. Okay, so it's going to be the 6 by 4. All right, 6 and I'm going over 4 rows, and then you just click it, okay? And you see how that gave me a table? We went to insert, we went to table, and then depending on how many pillars you have is how far down you'll go. And you go over to the right 4 times because there's 4 types of content types, okay? So for example, I'm gonna do a practice one with you guys. So you can pretty much type out what you have, the entertaining content, you have, let's see, inform, inspire, and educate. All right, so for example, there's not a right or wrong way, but like I said, this is just a form of staying organized with your content. So for example, this is something I did before. I don't really do it this way anymore because like I said, I have things where I typed out and printed and laminated where I can use a dry erase marker to go in and fill in the blanks now. You just have to find what works for you. So what I'm doing here is just writing out the 4 topic types, okay? Oops, let me go back. All right, so see how we have these 4 here? And if you had 6 content pillars, you would pretty much start off your box here. This is just a way of brainstorming. You don't have to do this process. The object of this is to plan out your content for the year. But if you're wondering how to get started with planning, this is how you end up with so much content, okay? So this is the acronym for polish, okay? And this is my content pillars. So what I would be doing is for the P, I would be thinking, so for example, my content pillar letter P is the perspective shift, helping you guys shift your perspective and build a business mindset. So this whole process of becoming a content creator, becoming a digital product entrepreneur, all of this will come at ease so you can flow throughout the process, okay? So with this being said, what you would do is find what works best for you. You can use my techniques, and I hope that these help you. I'm sure they will. So for example, P is perspective shift. If that's my content pillar for number 1, I'm going to think of ways of how can I entertain my audience and still talk about shifting their business perspective. For the informative content, how can I inform my ideal clients on shifting their perspective for a business mindset? Okay. All right. When you're on the inspire, how can my content inspire the ideal client to shift their perspective? How can I educate my ideal client to shift their perspective? So you're using these 4 types to come up with topics for each of your pillars. All right. So all of these here would be your subtopics. So for example, when you come up with 4 of these different types of content for that one letter, okay, by the time you add this up, 6 times 4 is 24. So right there, you already have 24 topics, okay? Pretty much almost a month's worth of content. Right there with the 24 things you have, I like to use this little acronym, what, why, and how. With those 3 things, I use those as like 3 bullet points. And what that means is anytime I'm explaining something, I will always talk about what it is. Okay. I will also talk about why it's important and how to do it. Okay. So anything that you're teaching, if you remember the what, why, and how, you'll always be able to create content no matter what the topic is. And of course, your pillars are going to be on topics that you're familiar with, that you have expertise in, that you have experience in or knowledge in. If you don't have the knowledge, you can definitely do your market research. Okay. So that's definitely not a problem. So when you have your 24 pieces of content, there's so many ways of doing this, but 31 captions is what you're going to start off with doing your first month of content. Okay. So basically you're doing 31 pieces of content based off your pillars and the 4 types. And as you can see, the results will be endless because you are already starting off with whatever these pillar content topics are. You're getting the subtopics based on these 4 types, and then you're going to use the what, why, and how methodology that's going to pretty much help you break down all of your topics even further. So by the end of this, you will have, if you have 6 pillars just like I have, you'll end up with 744 pieces of content. Okay, so 31 captions. Remember, captions are the wording of your message. If you have 31 days in a month, 31 days times 4 types of content is 124. All right. I don't know if you guys want to grab the calculator or not. I may be going too fast. There's 365 days in a year. 2 posts a day is 730. Okay, so that's 365 times 2. That's 730. And then when you're doing 31 captions times these 4 types, that's going to automatically lead you at 124. 124 times your 6 content pillars is 744 types of pieces of content. All right, so if it's only 365 days in a year, that means you will literally have 2 pieces of content for the whole year by the end of this. All right, and I hope this is easy to understand. So when you go back to this tab here that you have pulled up to create your content, when you go back to the tab here to create your content, what you're doing is typing out everything you want to say based on the pillar and the content type that we just discussed. So once you have everything written out, if you're good at just getting on video and you already know what to say and haven't organized what you're going to say, then you can just go straight to the videos. But I would suggest staying organized, because you would need this information typed up or stored in a notebook so you can repurpose your content at a later date. And repurposing is just where you're able to use the content and add a little spice here and there. Even with videos, you'll be able to pull out different pieces of the original content to use it at a different time, okay? And it saves a lot of time and energy. So after your content is written out, for example, if you've done this 31 captions, you have however many pages worth of content, you type out everything you want to say. As you can see, you write out whatever day. Like I said, you can do the table, or you can do it where you're typing it straight out. You can make the chart. It's whatever works best for you. You write out your month's worth of content. Depending on how much time you set aside to do this, you can do it all in one day. You can do 1 month a day, or however you want. Either way, you're going to have 2 posts for a whole year. All right, so let's see. What are we going to go over next? Okay, so what we're going to do next is show you another tool that I love to use, which is Trello. So we will go over that in the next video. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you have any questions, feel free to comment in the online course platform, so you can actually request another video that gets more into another specific task that you may need help with. Also, be sure to check the YouTube page, Official Polished Queen, to find more videos and tutorials to help you throughout this content creation process. I will see you in the next video.